Do you ever wonder why we seem to gain weight so much easier than older generations? Or why we have a harder time losing weight than our great grandparents did? If you have ever asked yourself these kinds of questions, it will all make sense after today's video. Hi, my name is Jennifer Dunn. My mission is to give you the knowledge you need to build and sustain the health that you desire. If you are interested in a holistic way to health and longevity, I would love for you to become part of this community by subscribing to my channel. Now let's get into today's topic. Believe it or not, throughout history, our food has went through some extraordinary changes. Things we eat now are not the same as they once were. Even whole foods that we consider to be unprocessed have drastically changed over the years. And this brings me to my first food category. The fruits and vegetables that we buy and consume now are much bigger and sweeter than the versions that our ancestors ate. If you take a look at this image, you will see some of the common foods we enjoy today look almost unrecognizable in their original form. Watermelon wasn't as sweet and juicy as our modern version. The banana was much smaller and tougher than it is now. And the carrot and corn don't even look edible to me. This is all a result of genetic modification techniques that humans invented so they would have the best looking and tasting crops. And I think this is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, our fruits and vegetables are much more enjoyable than they used to be. On the other hand, the portions are larger, they contain much more sugar, and they are less nutrient dense because of all the modifications. For this reason, it is easier for us to overeat on these foods than it was for our ancestors. I can imagine that they only ate these things out of necessity, not for pleasure. And although we can't reverse time and change what we've done to our produce, there is a way we can ensure we are getting more nutrients and less toxins. Organic fruits and vegetables are more nutrient dense because they aren't sprayed with toxic pesticides. And I know organic is more expensive, but the more demand there is for organic foods, the prices will eventually go down because it will crowd out the non-organic farming practices. We vote with our dollar. Now let's switch gears and talk about animal products. This is a huge industry today, which was not the case 100 years ago. Most animal products today are factory farmed and are full of growth hormones, antibiotics, and genetically modified feed. A century ago, most people either raised their own animals or bought their meats, eggs, and dairy from a local farm or butcher. The animals were raised outdoors and ate grass. The animal products we consume today are much different than what our grandparents ate. So how can we eat more like our grandparents did? Buy organic, grass-fed meat, eggs, and dairy, or even better, find a local source. Either of these ways will be better for your overall health because you will be getting more nutrient-dense products without all the hormones, antibiotics, and processed foods. Remember, we eat what the animal ate. Okay, the last food category I want to discuss is processed foods. Food took a huge turn after the 1950s when the idea of shortcuts and faster foods became the norm. As food processing and convenience foods became more and more prevalent, so did obesity and disease. Our convenience foods today are full of artificial colors, flavors, and sweeteners. 80% of processed foods in the U.S. contain genetically modified ingredients and chemical preservatives. All of these unnatural ingredients in our food have been shown to be one of the biggest contributors to the obesity epidemic and the cause of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. And the more shocking reality is that the food industry designs processed food to be as addictive and craveable as possible, so you will want to keep buying it. I always say that your cravings for processed food is not your fault, but it is your problem. So what can you do about it? I personally try to make processed food only 20% of my diet, and the rest of it is whole healthy foods. I do this by keeping processed junk food out of my house as much as possible so I won't be tempted. And I save it for when I go out to eat and for weekend treats. But I know this is easier said than done, especially if you have strong or out of control cravings. Believe me when I say I understand this. I spent my 20s and 30s trying to overcome my sugar cravings with no real luck. It wasn't until I had a health scare that I got serious and found the root cause of my cravings. Learning the root cause behind my sugar habit was the key to my success. Now I have dedicated my life to helping others with this as well. And I put all of my knowledge, tools, and strategies into an online course so it is accessible to everyone. In my Cravings to Confidence course, I will take you through the 4 steps that help me and my one-on-one clients finally overcome cravings, balance blood sugar, and lose weight, all without feeling deprived. If you are interested in learning more about my course, there will be a link to it in the description box. So guys, what was the most surprising thing you learned in today's video? Let me know in the comments. As always, I appreciate you watching, liking, and commenting. I will see you next Monday.